Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and we got a spicy video today. Something that is a little bit out of the norm for this channel, but it's something that I'm quite passionate about in general. Now, obviously, you're all here for the title, and to be fair, it's not really clickbait. It's an honest issue that no one is intentionally making. What's wrong with the tabletop community, you might be asking? What scandal? What terrible thing are people doing? Well, I mean, like any community, obviously there is ish going on in the tabletop community. It, no community is perfect, obviously, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Not only that, but edition wars and game wars in general. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. So, you see, the tabletop genre of gaming, or at least tabletop RPGs as we know them, the D&D light games or whatever, is a very niche hobby, or at least everyone thought it was until Critical Role came out, D&D 5th edition came out, and suddenly we're seeing a huge boom of people interested in the hobby. And it's not small by any means. Millions of people are now getting invested in the hobby, and it's literally everywhere. And you don't even have to take my word for it. You can do the research. See how many games of D&D are being played on various VTTs, virtual tabletops. See how many people are interested in things like Critical Role. Look at all the D&D related channels on YouTube in general. Look at all the popular YouTubers who really love D&D or tabletop in general. It is not a small hobby. Now, it's not a huge one by any means. I mean, I think Fortnite still beats it, but maybe not. Who knows? A lot of people love tabletop, and the thing is, it's the first time in history this last decade, this last 7 years, give or take, that people have really been exposed to it in a very more positive light, and it's gotten the attention it deserves. The problem is that they got it through a singular lens, Dungeons and Dragons. And this is due to Critical Role. This is due to Stranger Things. This is due to the sudden upsurge in popular Twitch streamers and YouTubers showing off D&D content. And this is all D&D pretty much. And the problem with that is, plainly, it's just one game out of a whole genre, and it's not even that good when you take like a general perspective on it. I'm not trying to start anything with the D&D 5e people. Don't get me wrong. D&D 5e is not a universal system. In fact, many people are complaining because so many people are trying to shove every genre into D&D 5e. And that's not because they believe D&D 5e system is good enough to handle that. And it's not. In fact, people are doing it because they're so used to homebrewing content for 5e that it just seems like the right thing to do. People are complaining because, oh, my players don't want to try another game, or they don't want to do this or another. You know why your players don't want to try another game? Because they like a game that you're currently playing, and they have no way of properly finding other tabletop games that might interest them. This happened with indie gaming. This happened when indie gaming was like starting to become a thing, when a bunch of small developers started making games, because they were getting overshadowed by AAA titles. It was the YouTube community and the Twitch community and a variety of other, various methods of, disseminating information like Twitter or such like that, that got indie to where it is today. Indie didn't used to be nearly as big as it is nowadays. I remember back way, way, way back in the day, indie really started popping off because indie horror was something that really kicked off gaming on YouTube in general. And even then, it was more of just the horror fad, and everyone just liked the horror games, and they weren't really looking for indie games. They just enjoyed those horror games. But that's not what happened to indie in the end. Now, the indie scene, Steam, all that kind of stuff is so popular because people realize and can easily see indie games in a very easy to digest kind of light. People are making YouTube videos on it. You can go to Steam and get really easy access to it. And you know what Tabletop does not have? It does not have that same level of exposure. It does not have when you go online, even when you go onto YouTube, and YouTube has videos on most tabletop systems out there. But honestly, tell me, how many channels, how many games can you find really entertaining content about it? Or easy to digest, easy to look at, when you're not just having someone talk to you about the game? Something that's very easy to digest. If you're a casual tabletop, player, and you're not really that deep in the hobby, but you still like this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. Like, what tabletop games do you actually know about, and how did you find them out about them? Because I'm very curious. The tabletop community's biggest problem is so many people are married to the game that they main. A lot of people I know, and honestly, most people who are really deep in tabletop do have a variety of other games that they play. But the problem with that is they know what content, will get views, and so they don't talk about those games that often. They do occasionally, but they only do a few videos for each individual game. And this is the problem. And there's not a good way to find tabletop. Even DriveThruRPG, a place I found many of the tabletops I play today, you didn't really get a lot of information on it. In fact, the only way I ever really found new tabletops I actually ever wanted to get into, got excited for, was when bookstores used to have more tabletop game books on their shelves. And they don't do that really much anymore because it's not profitable. How could it be? When you have a game system, style, genre, whatever, that you cannot find easily, how do you market that? You're a poor tabletop TTRPG company, You're not D&D. Paizo only really got to where it is because it branched off from one of the most beloved editions of D&D 5e. And Paizo right now is the only one who's even attempting to match the market in some way. So there's a lot of amazing, wonderful tabletop RPGs out there that people just don't know about. And how can they ever get excited about those games if there's no way to easily find information about them? If you only have people online drolly talking about a game that they like in a very uninteresting and unentertaining way. Some channels manage to find it. Some channels manage to do it in a very good way. I used to watch, I think it was like the Gentleman Gamer back in the day or something like that. Or something. I don't remember, but he talked about a lot of tabletop games and I watched his content. But that content is really hard to find. And the thing is, it's a problem with the content creators as much as it is with the actual communities themselves. The content creators don't want to endanger their livelihood. So it's reasonable that they are not going out of their way to really push other game systems. Like, not really. Some do, and I know plenty of channels that do. I keep an eye on the market after all. It's kind of where I'm at. But they still produce tons and tons and tons of D&D 5e content that inherently drowns out that content on the channel. People go to look at their channel for the first time when they're new to the channel, and they see tons of D&D content. They would have to go searching through all the videos to find the non-D&D content. And when it comes to like Twitter or everything like that, people are always like, oh no, this game is better. Oh no, this game is better. There's not this culture in TTRPGs that is prevalent anyway of trying other tabletop games. I do see people talk about this on Twitter, don't get me wrong. It's not the culture overall. It's just not. And the people who are shilling for their games or talking about their games, again, it's just someone's word of mouth, you know. It's not something that you can see, visualize, digest, that you can really get hyped about another game unless you really take that person's opinion to heart, you know. So this is generally what the problem with tabletop is. And it doesn't have to be this way. It does mean that some people have to go out of their way to start doing that content. It does mean that people on Twitter need to start really shilling out for other tabletop games and doing it in a way that's very interesting for people to look into. Tabletop is one of the hardest things to properly record how fun it is because it's all in the imagination. I've seen way too many live plays I just get instantly bored of because it's just people playing a board game that is not even like a board game. It's all like in their head. They may have a virtual tabletop, but it's usually a static image of a bunch of figures on the map for a solid 5-10 minutes. That's just not exciting or interesting. And it needs a very specific, concentrated effort to make other tabletop games look good. And I understand that this is something that people are, not willing to overly invest in because it doesn't make as much money as D&D content. And it's something that is hard to do. It's hard to make content that's easy to digest for people. It's one of the reasons why we have so many arguments about what game is better, because people don't properly articulate their actual points or what actually makes a game good. You're just hearing someone tell you a game is better and you're just not really getting the depth that they're trying to convey to you. So tabletop needs to change. And this is very important. Tabletop needs to change. We need to have a community that is far more outspoken for trying new tabletop games. We need a community that's more outspoken about hyping up other tabletop games and really showing them off. We don't need more D&D 5e homebrew content. We don't need more D&D 5e system adaptations for different genres. I do think we need better tabletop games. I think legitimately, if we can get tabletop to a point where it's making money, more money at least, people can start making better games. I think that's a good thing. That's what happened with indie gaming after all. So, that's what we're going to do on this channel. And I'm not going to overly pitch what we're doing here on this channel. I have a video out that you should go check out. I'll mark it up here. The channel update video. It's a very short video, so you can go take a quick look at that. But this is the direction that tabletop needs to go. And more content creators need to start doing stuff like this. More people need to start making content like this. Because if diversifying tabletop happens, if we get a new indie renaissance for tabletop RPGs and make trying out other tabletop games really good, that makes all tabletop better. D&D will have to kick it into high gear because of the sheer amount of competition. And it won't be any one indie game. I'm not saying that there's going to be some Goliath that's going to come and topple down D&D. I'm saying the sheer bulk of the number of different games that come out that people are investing in means that games like D&D, even Pathfinder, will need to start investing more in the game to start drawing people in, making those games better, giving them better graphics, better ways for players to interact with them, all this kind of stuff. If we do this, if we diversify the game, more people will buy more books and try out more games. And people, I'm not going to get into that argument. If people can buy video games as frequently as they do, they can try out new tabletop systems as frequently as they can buy games. So it's better for the hobby overall. It injects more money, gives more indie creators the ability to make the games that they want to make, and it makes tabletop better. So let's make tabletop better, because that's what I'm here for. I love Pathfinder 2e, and I'm going to keep doing Pathfinder 2e content. But I'm also going to show off all the many other games that are amazing in the space. And I hope some of you out there might do the same. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you for listening to my rant. Have a nice day. I guess let me sign off. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.